Have you ever looked at Europe and thought, man, things move so slowly over there? All those committees, those coalitions, those endless debates. It can feel like watching paint dry, right? Especially when you compare it to the fast-paced, disruptive energy you see elsewhere in the world. We're often told that progress means breaking things, moving fast, and completely upending the old ways. But what if that's not the whole story? What if Europe's perceived weakness, its slowness, is actually one of its greatest strengths? Today, let's explore an idea that might seem a little counterintuitive. Europe isn't perfect, far from it, but its stability is a feature, not a bug. In an age of constant upheaval and uncertainty, maybe what we need isn't more disruption, but more of the steady, predictable progress that Europe, for all its faults, often represents. Let's dive into the heart of European politics: coalition governments. In many European countries, it's rare for a single party to win an outright majority. Instead, after an election, different parties have to come together, negotiate, and form a coalition to govern. This process can be long and frustrating. It means that no single party gets everything it wants. Policies get watered down, big, bold promises get trimmed, and everyone has to compromise. From the outside, this looks like inefficiency. Why can't they just make a decision? But think about what's really happening. This system forces dialogue between people with different ideologies. A center-right party has to find common ground with a Green Party, or a Liberal Party has to work with a Social Democratic one. It means that the final policies are usually more moderate and have broader support across the political spectrum. This built-in need for compromise acts as a natural brake on extremism. A radical party on the far left or far right will find it very difficult to implement its entire agenda because it needs partners, and those partners will inevitably pull it back towards the center. So while you might not get radical, lightning-fast change, you also avoid wild swings in policy every time a new government comes to power. This creates a more predictable and stable environment for citizens and businesses alike. This philosophy of compromise extends beyond national governments, right up to the European Union itself. The EU is often criticized for its bureaucracy and slow decision-making. Getting 27 member states to agree on anything is, to put it mildly, a monumental task. Every country has its own interests, its own history, and its own red lines. A proposal has to go through endless rounds of negotiation, translation, and debate in the European Parliament and the Council. But again, let's flip the perspective. This process, as cumbersome as it is, ensures that every member state has a voice. It prevents larger countries from simply imposing their will on smaller ones. It forces leaders to sit down and actually listen to each other's concerns. Take something like the GDPR, the Big Data Privacy Regulation. It took years to develop and negotiate. There were countless debates about its scope and impact. But the end result was a comprehensive piece of legislation that has set a global standard for data protection. It wasn't a quick, top-down decree. It was a carefully constructed compromise that tried to balance the needs of consumers, businesses, and governments. This method of incremental reform, of slowly building consensus, means that when a decision is finally made, it tends to stick. It has a legitimacy and durability that a rushed decision simply wouldn't. This brings us to the core idea: progress through incremental reform, not revolution. Europe has a long and often turbulent history. It has seen the devastating consequences of radical ideologies and disruptive upheavals. Perhaps because of this, its modern political culture values stability and evolution over revolution. The goal isn't to tear everything down and start from scratch. It's to identify problems and fix them piece by piece within the existing framework. Think about social welfare systems. European countries didn't just invent their comprehensive healthcare and unemployment benefits overnight. These systems were built up over decades, with each successive government adding a new layer, making a small adjustment, or expanding a program. It's a process of constant tinkering and refinement. It might not be as exciting as a revolutionary overhaul, but it allows for course correction. If a particular reform doesn't work as intended, it can be adjusted in the next legislative cycle without causing the entire system to collapse. This approach creates a social safety net that, while always facing challenges and debates over funding, provides a fundamental sense of security for millions of people. It's a stability you can build a life on. Now, let's be clear. This is not a defense of complacency or an argument against change. Europe faces enormous challenges: demographic shifts, economic competition, geopolitical threats, and the urgent need for a green transition. And sometimes it's slow. Consensus-based model can be a genuine hindrance. When a crisis hits, like the financial crisis of 2008 or the recent energy crisis, the need for quick, decisive action can clash with the EU's deliberative nature. The slowness can be infuriating and, in some cases, costly. The system is far from perfect, and there's a constant debate within Europe itself about how to become more agile and effective without sacrificing its democratic principles. But in a world that feels increasingly volatile, where political landscapes can shift dramatically overnight, there's something to be said for this European model of stability. It's the idea that progress doesn't have to come with a massive social and political cost. It's the belief that you can achieve meaningful change through dialogue and compromise, rather than through conflict and division. It's the quiet confidence that even if the gears of government turn slowly, they are, for the most part, turning in the right direction. So the next time you hear about a deadlock in a European Parliament or a marathon EU summit that ends in a watered-down compromise, maybe don't see it as just failure or inefficiency. See it for what it often is: a messy, imperfect, but ultimately stabilizing process at work. It's the system doing its job, forcing opponents to talk to each other and find a middle ground. In our increasingly polarized world, that might be one of the most valuable things a political system can do. Europe's stability might not be flashy, and it certainly doesn't grab headlines in the same way that chaos and disruption do. But perhaps, just perhaps, it's a model of governance that offers a valuable lesson for us all, that lasting progress is a marathon, not a sprint. What do you think? Is Europe's slowness a strength or a weakness? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this discussion, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. See you next time.